Hello and welcome to another podcast presented by The Ground, City of Blue Dreams. This is a podcast solely concentrated on the Mumbai football clubs. And ISL is coming around, just 1 month left. And The Ground is now going to cover all Mumbai City FC's games and whatever is happening with them. And for this first podcast, I think it was clear about what we are going to talk about is the last year's investment from City Football Group. And I have Vedant with me here joining from, even though it's kind of a rivalry from Mumbai and Pune, but we are from Pune doing a podcast about Mumbai's
Mm.
clubs. But it's unfortunate really that we don't have a club anymore. But yeah, I think it's a good start to talk about MCFC. But yeah, just before that, before going into anything, you can explain to us what is City Football Group.
Basically, the City Football Group, we'll call it CFG, is a holding company that administers all of the association football clubs that the group owns. So the group is basically owned by three organizations. The majority, like the 78% stake, is owned by Abu Dhabi United Group. 12% is owned by American firm Silver Lake, and the Chinese firms, China Media Capital and CITIC, own the remaining. Own the remaining of the 12% along with American firm Silver Lake. So the original aim of this company was to have a football team in each continent, and of course then have their name City, which is derived from the City Football Group in the name of the club, and like slowly expand their territory and basically, control a lot of football and have an influence. And the
Yeah.
ADUG founded the commercial company in 2013 just to dedicate itself exclusively to the business that is related to football and modern football, because nowadays the business part of the game has begun to matter a lot more than the on-field aspects. So, like every football club that comes under the CFG has a similar sort of structure. There is one president to handle all the financial aspects of the club, and there is a football director to take the sporting responsibility, and both of them have to report to the CFG executives in Manchester. And they have a pretty interesting kind of thing between them to form their network and improve every team. So it basically goes like if any of the rival teams in all of the leagues that their club plays in. For example, they have Melbourne City in Australia. So if any of the rival teams of Melbourne City comes up with a new tactic or with a new set play that they've practiced on the training ground, and this is noticed by that club, then the videos of that they send it to Pep Guardiola in City, and then he analyzes it, and all of them sort of just it sort of helps all the other teams because then they have their insights, and all of the clubs sort of come together to help all of these teams. And there is another thing that if City have an academy player that is not ready yet to play at the highest level because he needs a bit more of game time, or he isn't ready for that sort of a pressure of the Premier League, then they can just loan him to any of the association clubs owned by the CFG, so he can go play in the Australian League. And there is no sort of the obligate I mean the paperwork that usually requires a lot of time and efforts that is sort of made it makes it easier to transfer players and give them experience, and then get them back with that sort of improvement, and then the coach can use him. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what the CFG is.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a lot to take in actually, because there's so much information, and it's still just scratching the surface about the operation of City Football Group, and it's actually smart. And I just want to bring in a quote here, which is, yeah. So the CEO Ferran Soriano, he said that he predicts that football is not going to be a sport anymore. It's going to be entertainment, and it's going to be entertainment hubs around the world. And his dream was to create this sort of a connection. And yeah, I think it's clever, but yeah, it's a different part of discussion of whether it's good for the sports or bad for the sport, or how much that influences a sporting team sort of. So yeah, but talking about their acquisitions, I think there are a lot, and probably as we are doing this, there might be something going on somewhere with Citigroup,
Yeah,
because because people were talking about this great acquisition of Mumbai City FC, and they are in India now. And after that, in September, they already acquired a Belgian team after that, and they acquired Evian from France.
yeah.
So we don't quite know what they're going to do.
They're
But
always
I'll just
in business. They are always planning of conquering another country.
yeah, and let's just start. So in 2008, they bought Manchester City,
Yes.
and we all know how hugely successful they are. But it took time. They had their first title in 2012,
Yeah.
I think, 2011-12 season. And after City, they bought in New York City FC. So they also rebranded them and sort of had a blue jersey again. So it's a recurring theme. Then they bought in Melbourne City FC, and I shouldn't. I may go chronologically wrong. So if you have that, so I think you should list down.
Yeah. So basically, they have, as you mentioned, a few of them. They have 10 clubs which they own completely. Some of they own some of them completely, and other clubs they have a high percentage of stakes in it. So yeah, as you said, they took over Manchester City first, and in 2008, and even if it did take them a lot of time to for 3 years actually to win the Premier League title. It The main focus is always on the transfers and how people say that City bought the league and all of the players, but that is another part. The part that is mainly not focused on is the development that the CFG brought in behind the scenes. They spent 10 million on their on renovating the Platt Lane Academy base, and then they even formulated plans to produce a 100 million pounds training and academy facility just opposite their stadium. And for this, they studied the training facilities all around the world to create the just a more developed academy and more developed training facilities than all of the other clubs had at that time. And just like they took over Manchester City, they even took over the Manchester City women's team, which won their FA Women's Super League Division 1 title in 2016, and they even have won other domestic trophies. So, I mean, it's not just that one club everyone is focused on. They have brought development to other clubs as well, and there is a lot of research and planning and everything that goes behind it. It's not just like they take a club and they throw in their oil money in it and the club sort of
Hmm.
starts winning again, which is a big misconception. There is a lot of efforts that go in, and as you said, after that they
So, yeah, so what team did they go for after Melbourne City FC?
After Melbourne, they acquired the Uruguayan Premier League club Atletico Torque, as it was called at that time. But after the takeover, they changed their name to Montevideo City Torque, which is to suit their city. They had to add that city thing in their name, and of course they changed their team badge and the name to be show the links to Manchester City. And within 12 months of the takeover, the club got promoted to the first division. And at that same time, it was announced that the club would begin on the construction of a new academy and administrative complex, which is, I think, it is one of the most advanced academy centers in South America. So yeah, I think after that, after Atletico talk, they then went on to buy the La Liga, the former La Liga side, Girona. They acquired 44 or 45% of the club. And interestingly, I mean, a lot of people say that, I don't know whether it's true or not. I'll just put it out here. Manchester City, after acquiring Girona, of course, Manchester City had loaned their players, when they were in the Spanish second division. And since the club Girona is also partly owned by Girona Football Club, which is led by Pierre Guardiola, which is the fa brother of the famous Pep Guardiola, people say that this thing with Girona was an attempt to lure Pep Guardiola towards Manchester City, and I mean, it was kind of influenced his decision to coach City was kind of influenced by this. I don't know how true it is, but I mean, yeah, it didn't work. It did work out as they planned if they wanted to do this. And Girona, of course, acquired promotion after that. They did get relegated after 2 seasons in it, but I think it still was good, as they even upgraded the stadium capacity to 14,000 from 9,000, and of course even made investments in the training facilities. So I think it was a pretty good deal for Girona.
And I think after that they went to Japan, they went to China,
Yeah,
and now they are in India. So let's talk about their acquisition here. And before we talk about how it is going to affect Mumbai City FC and potentially ISL,
yeah,
I just wanted to give two examples here. About first is Melbourne City FC, which was the earlier kind of acquisition which they made. And yeah, like you said, that it's not just acquisition, pour in money, bring in high quality players and win the league, dominate the league. It's not like that. It's for Manchester City because that's their main project.
yeah,
But all these projects are somewhat of independent in terms of the success which they are looking for, because if you look at Melbourne City FC, they acquired them in 2014, I think, and after 6 years, they haven't won a title.
yeah,
They have won one domestic cup, which is sort of like the FA Cup and the Federation Cup in India here as well.
yeah,
So they won that, and just last season they finished. I think they finished runners. They finished runner-ups because they lost against Sydney FC 1-0. So last year there was significant investment, but again, it is not. We can't suppose that they will do the same with Mumbai City FC. That pour in money. Although we are seeing a lot of transfers coming to MCFC right now,
yeah,
and this season we'll talk about that in later episodes.
yeah,
But and talking about Girona FC, yeah, so they did loan all of their academy players, almost 6, 7 academy players to Girona FC.
yeah,
They got promoted, and now they set a huge platform for all City players who probably are not good enough to play against City, but can use some game time and can be sold for profits. And that's what happened. And Girona FC couldn't quite stay in the La Liga. They got relegated to Segunda Division, and now it's sort of blamed that Girona FC can't function as an independent club because City are forcing their players on Girona, and so that's why if they as a club want an identity, want to build a team, a manager comes in, he wants to build a team for 5 years, but he can't because City are going to bring in players. They're going to say to the manager that we can give this player instead of your target. They are kind of similar, and that's what is going to happen. So that's the criticism they faced when Girona got relegated. Yeah. But apart from that, I think there were positives again, like you said, that they improved the stadiums for Girona as well, and they also had. I think I was checking the website of Melbourne City, so they have now like, proper schools, football schools, which are not common in Asia.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think apart from that, I think we there's one more point that after as you said, they kind of force these players on them. I don't know how extent it is with the managers because after they got New York City FC, it was a new franchise, the 20th team in MLS. So they kind of had to start from scratch, and for that they Patrick Vieira was City's academy manager at that time, and Manchester City just gave New York City their academy manager to manage the first team. Uh, it did not work out as they had expected, but that's another issue. But after after they acquired the club, they even signed David Villa. They signed Frank Lampard. They even signed Andrea Pirlo. I mean, see, we know that they were past their prime and everything, but they could have gone to any other MLS club during that time. LA Galaxy was kind of a famous club as well because they had Beckham, but uh, you could say that cities they could attract those sort of players to their club, and maybe though attracting those sort of players was somewhat influencing the other players to join the club and be a part of their project. I mean, even that is part of another debate. But after that, this club has qualified from the Eastern Conference in each of their last four seasons, and they even finished first last season, New York City FC.
yeah,
They lost in the playoffs later, but still, I mean, there is a part if you take away Melbourne City, even Melbourne City have actually won the FFA Cup, as you said, and last season was their second. They finished second, and it was the best ever finish in the history of the club. So apart from Girona, I would say that they have, I mean, it all there are negatives, of course. I mean, every uh, coin has two sides, but I think the positives are more than the negatives in this scenario because almost all of the clubs have been more successful than they were in the past, and they have a project that is appealing for other players. I mean, of course, they have just taken over Mumbai City FC, so we can't say about that just yet, but the signs look good. I mean, if you're talking about a club in India where football is not the primary sport, if the CFG is investing here, they must have seen some sort of potential. They must have done their research, and that is why I think maybe it is more of a positive for Indian football.
yeah. In terms of development, I think there's no competition at all for them, and they've improved all around. They've improved clubs all around.
Yeah,
And I think now when they acquired Mumbai City FC, there was actually quite a cheer from all for Indian football fans because, yeah, like you said, it was a sign where a big commodity, a huge, I think the biggest sort of a football club now investing in a small team in Asia who hasn't even qualified in top four, I think, in the last 6 years.
yeah, they haven't
And
won the ISL.
yeah, so it must be due to the name. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Mumbai City FC falls down in that bracket, so that's why they're lucky in that way.
Yeah.
If it was like Mysore City FC and not Mumbai City, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But
they were
yeah,
actually looking at when they wanted to invest in a club in India, they were actually looking at Kerala, but then they switched their attention towards Mumbai due to the popularity uh, of the club
yeah, and
and the
of
population
course
of
they.
it.
Yeah, I think of course, and listen, they have Melbourne, they have New York.
Yeah,
Mumbai is a great city to have on your portfolio. It's one of the biggest cities in with the world. So
Yeah,
if you have Mumbai City FC, this is something to boast about.
yeah,
So I think, yeah. So when the acquisition happened, like you said, there are a lot of research going on, and I will tell you, I was actually reading on the Athletic about acquisitions, and it's not just about picking a club and then going to the important members, talking to them about buying the club. It's not like that. It's about researching, it's about connections, it's about talking to people who know the people on in the club. It's about talking to journalists who actually know where the league is headed, where what is FSDL, who is Nita Ambani, what are Reliance's plans for this football, uh, what they have established, and what are the chances they are going to succeed. And this is all involved. So what we can say by this is their research tells them that Indian football might be on a different level in the next 6 7 years, and that's where they've invested here.
yeah, yeah,
So that's a good step, and we can all be happy about that. And I think the advantage for MCFC here is that if you see the other clubs, they, even though they're professional, more professional than the I League clubs in terms of contracts and academy and everything. Not even academy training facilities.
yes.
Not all have academies. And by the way, Pune Pune had the best academies in India, but
Do you
they
have
got
to
shut
do
down.
this? Do you?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, but they had. So we even talked about it with one of the ex-academy players. You can check that out on Spotify.
Yeah,
So the other teams sort of they don't have the money, they don't have the intelligence of developing a club as a whole. They are sort of running it like a franchise till now. Obviously, uh, some clubs like Kerala Blasters have plans, even ATK Mohun Bagan have plans, but not all have that plans. And when City Football Groups comes in Mumbai, they're going to improve the stadium, they're going to attract more people because they're going to bring in, probably in the next few years, they're going to bring in some good names to the club.
yes,
They're going to improve the training facilities. They're going to improve the academy. They're going to start, I think, under 18s is already there, but it's not that good enough. And I don't know, but City is the football group is actually good in marketing. That is, they have tons of activities lined up in the city which they are managing, and I think Mumbai has a huge potential to have a huge fan base, and they're going to improve everything in that. So that's good thing.
yeah. And you mentioned about this stadium. Their current capacity is, I think, around 8,000. The Mumbai Football Arena, which is in Andheri Sports Complex. So I think they could start by. I think we could see that stadium getting expanded in a few years, as they have done with almost all of the other stadiums. And as far as their transfer market, everything is concerned, they've already made their moves. They have signed Bartholomew Ogbeche from Kerala Blasters, who had scored 15 goals in 16 appearances for them last season. And even if he is old, I think the club sort of needs a talisman up front who can, for the new season, who can boost their hopes of a top four finish. And they even got Sergio Lobera, the FC Goa coach, under whom FC Goa became the first Indian club to qualify for the AFC Champions League group stages. So, the one point that you sort of missed out on when you were talking about the CFG, I mean, you said they had contacts, they have a lot of planning, they have a lot of strategies. The main point is they have ambition and they have a vision to develop football, and I think that will end up. I mean, as much as I hate the fact that I support Manchester United and Manchester City due to all the oil money are ahead of us, I have to admit that is something that has taken the club from I think they were playing in the championship at one stage, and now they are competing for the title almost every year. They are in the Champions League. They are regular participants in the Champions League in the later stages. And I think with that sort of a CV or a portfolio, I think we can be excited for the future. One thing is that CFG's model of the marketing and the in the Indian transfer window or all of the other things, it can be hard to execute in India due to the fact that cricket is still our primary sport and football is not that much of it in India, I think football is mainly it is still alive due to the hardcore fans, the small sets of fans in each corner of the country that have kept the sport alive. But it's not like cricket that it is being watched in every household. So I think, as you mentioned, the marketing part, if City kind of start taking those activities, those exhibitions, those events in Mumbai, and slowly if they expand everywhere, I think the sport can be it can be brought back to life from the early 1990s where it was a big deal. And I think it is a positive sign. And another thing I think they can improve is we often we have talked about it in the past of how the main focus of ISL clubs is to get a foreign player to attract players no matter how old he is, and then the wages problem arises due to him. The other local players get paid less and stuff like that. I think with CFG they could uh, bring about this change of promoting local talent and promoting academy talent, and I think it would be a better solution for long term. And because of the plan and because of the strategies and everything, because they can bring about a change, they will set an example for all the other clubs of how to run their own clubs. And this will in turn it will increase competition, and it will be beneficial for the growth of Indian football, which is I'm excited for this.
That's the end goal, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we don't care about which club is having a say in everything. We want India to be up there to challenge the Asian teams at least, and obviously see some of the, and yeah, there's this positive that we missed out, because they have this connection throughout the continents. Any player can play now in any team. So, like if a Mumbai player, MCFC player, is having a good performance,
yeah,
and they believe that it's better, so he will get a gateway to go in Europe. Maybe can get sessions in Evian Troyes or the Belgian club or even Girona FC. Who knows? So that's the gateway for them, and that's a good thing. Like, and if they are here, like Ferran Soriano in the ceremony, and I don't know why there was a ceremony to announce this, but I don't know. Nita Ambani was there, and she sort of announced this great and grand marriage. But it was just a little awkward for me because I thought that it's not a huge deal. It's a huge deal in that way, but to have a ceremony and announce it, I don't know why that was. But anyways,
yeah.
so he said that we are looking for. They were looking at ISL for many years, and he's also said they are here for about 10 years, and he wants to see an Indian player reach the global stage. So I think that's positive, which you can take. And I think even they have Mandar Rao Desai now signed, and he's a good player. And if they see something in him, who knows? I mean, he can have few games in MLS maybe.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, yeah, one day. So the bad thing which I thought of, I don't know if you agree to this, but now you must be knowing about the big picture and how top six of the Premier League are leading the way of taking power of decisions for Premier League and British football in exchange of giving the EFL
Yes.
$250 million, 250 million pounds. So that is what maybe I worry, that they, because they are the first ones to come here, and because in the ceremony as well, I saw a hint of he mentioning want to work with ISL. So anyways, ISL has a strategic partner as Premier League, and you know where I'm going,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
if they're having this sort of a monopoly of power, and if City Football Group decides where they want to take this Indian football, uh, FSDL, where they want to take FSDL, where they want to take ISL, because they have the expertise, they have onboard members who have worked with other leagues, and they might influence FSDL in that way. And we all know how Indians get influenced by foreigners this quickly.
Yes.
And so I feel that you don't want something going wrong because of them. And also one thing, if you have anything to say before I can move
I
on.
mean, yeah, the point you put out was it can happen, but again, it is a 50-50 chance. It is just a theory. It is just a hypothetical situation. And if it is to happen, there's still a lot of time to go. But another thing that can happen is just like CFG has come here, I can see other, football groups coming and acquiring the other clubs of our country. Like, I mean, I don't think it could be Atletico because they have merged with Mohan Bagan and they are now a big deal. But the other smaller clubs, I think maybe they can be acquired, and then I don't think that CFG will have that sort of an influence of what you're talking about, because then there the power will be shared and it will be equally distributed. But I think we'll have to wait for that to happen. The first step for CFG would be to take Mumbai City to the top four and then make them win the ISL. And then it can start from there, because for them to start this sort of a thing, their own club needs to dominate, and Mumbai City haven't won the ISL even once. So I think there's still a long way to go, and even if I somewhat agree to a point, I won't say that it can happen. It will surely happen, but I think yeah, we'll just wait and watch.
Yeah, because other European clubs have tried. Fiorentina was here, Atletico Madrid was here, and they all went home because they couldn't get anything significant from here. So Dortmund is with Hyderabad now. So there are obviously, but because CFG is so different than other clubs, so it's a company, it's a brand. So I think maybe we have to look out for that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it. So in the end, I just feel as if I'm sort of becoming an MCFC fan, because I want to look at them how they restructure what, and they should. I would be disappointed if it's not restructured their academies and training facilities and everything. But I would just like to say that no high expectations. I don't think MCFC might win the ISL in the next 2 years, but they will certainly reach further. And it's a good thing that with CFC there's the Asian Champions League to play as well. So Bangalore FC reached the semi-final
Yeah,
once. So if MCFC can take one step further, but I don't know how the rules are, because Melbourne City also plays in the Asian Champions League. So in Europe, you can't have two clubs competing against each other. So I don't know what Asia does here, but yeah, that's for the future. Let's see what happens this season. We'll come back with the next episode talking about new transfers, how the team might shape up, and we have a lot to learn about because we haven't been that in depth about Indian football. And I think that's
yeah, I
it.
think yeah, yeah.
We should meet again, and subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for further updates and further episodes on Mumbai City FC.